Hello and welcome to a biplane game, and this time we are in the British Gladiator Mark II. It's a battle rating 1.3 British fighter, and it does have one, so to speak, predecessor that nobody knows of, or not a few people, because there was an event a long time ago where you could get the Gladiator Mark II S, which is for all intents and purposes the very same aircraft, just with a different skin, at least as far as I know. And I wanted to present you the Gladiator Mark II S, in some respect as, ooh, look, I have another rare premium. But, first of all, it's not a premium, it's just in the tech tree, but, not a lot of people can get it. Sort of like the PO2, sorry about that. The thing why I show you this gameplay is this. I flew out the Gladiator Mark II S a few times and something, appeared. And then I flew the Gladiator Mark II to check if this plane has the same difficulties, so to speak. And indeed, it features the same drawbacks. In fact, those drawbacks were so severe that I actually had to make a video about it. And what you see here is practically a denied ace gameplay. Yes, I spoil you a little bit. The Gladiator Mark II S is a plane together with the three other Gladiator versions, the Sea Gladiator, the Gladiator Mark II, which you see here, and Tux Gladiator, which is the premium version. They all are basically the same. Minor differences, but the basic principle is that they have 4 light machine guns and 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and they have no access to any kind of ordnance like rockets or bombs. But you think yourself, well, biplanes with bombs and rockets, you don't need that, right? Yeah, well, you don't. The Russians have the options. And even the Germans have some 10 kilo bombs. Granted, they are the smallest bombs in the game, but you can kill stuff with it. The point is this: the armament of 4 machine guns sounds powerful, and indeed you can kill stuff. Otherwise I wouldn't have made any kills. The real big problem is that in War Thunder we have 2 different appearances of flight models. The one is practically good, the other one is not so good. And I'm not talking about that stats are wrong or that, Gaijin has obviously implemented something wrong. No. This is about the general basic of flight models. You see, when you play arcade, the flight models are a bit more generalized, much more forgiving, and as much as you might laugh in a moment, some of them are more realistic than the flight models in Realistic, which is bizarre. That was a lucky pilot snipe on my first victim, and you might see it here. I have extreme problems sometimes controlling the aircraft, especially when wanting to put the aircraft sideways. And the plane wants to make a sort of side loop. And the only way to control it is to get back with the cursor or the mouse onto the cursor, then roll the aircraft manually with A and D, and then pull full elevator also with the key, wherever you have bound your elevator key to. That costs you dearly. That costs you a lot of time. It often costs you energy or golden opportunities. And that is a problem that always has, frustrated me about Realistic. This Instructor problem. And the Instructor is my worst enemy in the game. It is a disgusting part of War Thunder. Now, don't get me wrong. Basically, the Instructor is something good. It helps the pilot to keep the aircraft in the air in, stalling situations or low speed situations. And especially for beginners, it is great that you have something like this, a help. And it's also very good that Gaijin has given the opportunity for players to disable certain options. The bad thing is, they haven't given the option for more experienced players to totally switch off the instructor, or giving them more freedom for themselves, more options basically. And that bites a lot of aircraft in in the arse, and I don't like this. I hated it on my German aircraft. Now, for a lot of the German aircraft, those problematics with the instructor have eased a little bit. For the Focke-Wulfs, they got more realistic flight models, and you can agree or disagree on that those flight models are better or worse than the previous ones, or that they are indeed more realistic or what. What Gaijin has basically done is to get rid of the massive interference of flight model and instructor. So the handling of the aircraft in a certain way has massively improved, or the aircrafts. And the next thing is, the same goes for the Bf-109s. I hated the E-series before the E4 because they were hard to control. Then they got new flight models as well as less interference with the instructor, and then suddenly I loved them. They suddenly did what I wanted them to do. It has nothing to do with the fact that they could probably turn tight or what, but they did move in the direction that I wanted them to move at all. And when I have to fight the aircraft and its steering all the time, while fighting also the enemy, well, that's kind of a problem. If an enemy goes into a rolling scissor with an aircraft that just refuses to roll at all, not because it is damaged or it's stiffened up, but because the instructor doesn't allow it to, well, you have severe problems. And then it is not a matter of skill. You have a massive, massive drawback. Now, going back to the battle, that was my 4th kill, and I wanted to go RTB, and I cut this out to just the point where I land. Now, the Gladiator is, I think, the only biplane that has actual landing flaps, and on each wing, so you have 4 landing flaps, and indeed it helps. The next thing, you might have heard it in the background, is that this plane's engine sounds weird. When you are in the normal energy gaining phase, so practically you climb, and also between the single dogfights, the engine sounds like it is about to die. And that is bad for me because I love to fly by feedback of the game. And it is very disturbing for me personally to have the engine in perfect condition, but it sounds like it is massively lacking power. It doesn't sound damaged, but it sounds more like having no power. Now, the engine itself, if I remember right, was around about 900 horsepower. But it doesn't feel that powerful, and especially after visiting, an air show at the Hahnweide, I saw so many biplanes doing some crazy maneuvers that I couldn't even do with certain Russian biplanes in arcade. And that made me think, maybe there is a big, huge part that I don't understand. Maybe those airplanes or biplanes at the air show had like twice or 3 times stronger engines. I don't know. But also the low speed handling of those planes was far, far, far away from what I experienced in the realistic mode. And I saw maneuvers of aircraft that were astonishingly crazy, that I didn't think were possible. And it was especially around about the area of low speeds. And if you take away the low speed handling from biplanes, that's like taking away energy retention from an energy fighter, or bombs from a bomber, or I don't know, guns from a fighter. It's not right. And that was a denied ace. This Italian bomber just survived the battle. So let's have a quick look at the post-battle results. And we can see that for 4 kills I got nearly 16,000 silver lines and 2,792 research points. Yeah, not the most brilliant result, but better than nothing, I guess. Also, I was first in team with 3,147 score points. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. And please give me feedback what you think about, flight models in War Thunder. And nevertheless, see you next time in the skies.